International. Pankaj, first to you. India has won the toss. India has been asked to bat first. The big news from the toss is that there is no Kieron Pollard. Nicholas Pooran is leading the West Indies side, and there's one change. KL Rahul, who missed the first one-day international, is in for Ishan Kishan. So, how do you look at the two lineups? India is leading the series 1-0.
Very interesting, Chandresh. Welcome and Nishad. Great good afternoon to everybody and all the people across the globe that who are connected with us. I was quite surprised when I saw Nicholas Pooran walking in. Chandresh, I thought suddenly what has happened to Kieron Pollard? Why is he looking so small? But then I realized that it was Nicholas Pooran, and it's very interesting to see how India will take it, because the West Indies, I guess, don't have much of an option. Okay, you have this, you have that, and you have Nicholas Pooran now. So the whole idea here is India should, in fact, approach this particular match the way they did in the last match. But all eyes will be on the West Indies because they need to perform. They are here. They're a fantastic team. They're a fantastic group of young cricketers, and they just need to resonate together because it's a one-day match. It's not a T20 match. It's a one-day match, and we expect West Indies to really blast it out so that we have a fantastic contest on our hands.
That's an interesting point, Pankaj, there. And Nishad, India has made that one change, which was expected. They are going in with the rest of the lineup is more or less the same. In fact, just one change, Ishan Kishan goes and KL Rahul comes in. How do you look at that particular change?
It was obvious, wasn't it? Once KL Rahul was back, he was going to come back. But anyways, I get the feeling that KL's contributions have been better in the middle order than as an opener. I don't know, for some reason, as an opener, he takes a little bit more time, and we saw that in South Africa as well. And possibly his approach is a little bit more old school, but when he comes down the order, his approach is really modern and attacking. So his numbers, even if you look at it, his average at number 5 is simply impressive. His strike rate is all the more impressive, and he has delivered the goods for India. But now with a plethora of options, I'm not entirely sure whether India would want to send him back there. And in order to get their best players on field, KL will have to open. But my only thing is he's got the game. He's got to be a little bit more attacking so that India have got that power at the top as well.
Pankaj, the first match that India played, it was a clinical performance. Maybe the fact that, Virat and Rohit got out in quick succession, possibly after that Rishabh and Ishan got out at quick succession. That's a bit of a blip on the radar. But overall, if you see, it was a clinical performance. Possibly you could probably nitpick and say that you allowed them to get away from 79 for 7, but you have to hand it to the West Indies because they have Jason Holder and Fabian Allen coming in so late in the order and were capable batters themselves. Did you have any cause for worry at all for India, from India's point of view, in the first one day?
Not necessarily too much, because everything went well, and with the Yajuvendra Chahal also contributing so well. I guess, Chandresh, what has happened in the last few years is that India has found a template for one day. I realized that, somewhere in 16, 17, that, we have a standard template. First 15 overs, we know what to do. From 15 to the 35th over, we know what to do. And from the 35th over onwards, we know what to do. So the template for one day is pretty much set. But the only point here is that if there is a slight, as you say, a blemish or a hiccup early in the top order, that's where India have faltered majority of the times whenever they have not done well in a one day. So I'm slightly worried that if at all, you never know, Kemar Roach or someone else becomes the hero of the day or has a very good day at office and we lose 2 or 3 quick wickets, that's going to be very interesting.
That's a good point. Nishad, coming to you now, looking at the West Indies lineup, they haven't beaten India in a bilateral ODI series since 2006, home or away. Now that's a pretty long time that they haven't beaten India in ODI series. Do you see that changing in this particular series? Do you see them making a comeback? Because one-day cricket, unlike T20 cricket, is not their strongest suit.
I beg your pardon. So, looking at the way they played in the first ODI, I expected a better performance, surely, but it didn't come. And doesn't seem like they might come up with a performance in that way. But I think, India will win this series. I get the feeling now. I felt West Indies back then, I thought, had a chance to pull off a surprise. But yes, one-day cricket, they're still rebuilding. And it's not like, when I look back at all those series that India have played since 2006, it's not like they've they've not had their moments. West Indies have surely had their moments against India. It's just that they've not been able to capitalize it, just the way they have done in T20 cricket. In 50 over cricket, they've not been able to sustain it. Right now, if anyone's got to, they need to find a proper formula for their batting in particular. The top order was especially disappointing in the last game. So if anything, the top order has to put in a much better effort if they are to win this game.
Pankaj, just talking about the top order, the entire lineup seemed to struggle against India's spin. Yuzvendra Chahal and what's his name, Washington Sundar. These two guys combined picked up 7 wickets and simply bamboozled the West Indies lineup. And Nishad makes a very good point about the batting order coming up with the runs, because that's been their the sticky point for them in the one-day format as well as the test match format. The longer the format, it seems the harder it seems it is for the West Indies to do well, except against England, because they seem to have an enviable record against England even today in test matches and the other formats. What do you think is the key for them? Because those 20 overs of Washington Sundar and Yuzvendra Chahal could again be the key for West Indies. And if India had played another spinner, then God only knows what would have happened with this West Indies lineup.
It could have become another 2020 match. But Chandresh and Nishad, don't you think, what happens is youngsters who are so used to eating fast food every day, suddenly one day we take them to a family wedding, and there you have the 3-course, 7-course meal, the typical pangat as you call it. It becomes difficult for them to eat, isn't it? I think West Indies are going through the same thing. They are so used to now. There's nothing right or wrong about it, but they are so used to now with the quicker format of the game that they sort of don't have those components which will help them survive something of a one-day format. I think they need their team selection. Again, West Indies such a complicated situation. I think it's 18 nations coming together and playing all sorts of things, and the economic factors, the new factors coming in, the basketball factor. So I don't see at least a couple of players in this particular lineup who are kind of are able to pull it off. For example, someone like a Sherwin Campbell or a Carl Hooper, or someone who'll play throughout the innings. They'll need some sheet anchors. Only then probably this particular team, which is really very good, full of talented players, may just be able to kind of survive the one-day format, maybe getting Shai Hope up or someone, I don't know. We need a couple of good players in the top order who can steady the whole ship, and then the others, the big hitters, can rally around.
Nishad, just on that point,
yes,
Pankaj...
I was just going to come to that, Chandresh, that it's a good thing that Pankaj mentioned Shai Hope, and Shai Hope has been opening the batting for them, and he's been quite consistent. Like, I'm just having a look at his ODI numbers, and they're very impressive. If you look at the fact that in 82 innings he scored 3,706 runs at an average of 51.47, 10 hundreds and 20 50s, which means out of the 82 innings, 30 times he's crossed 50. That's a very, very good conversion rate. And he's someone who can surely play the sheet anchor role. But the issue with Shai Hope is his strike rate. A strike rate of 74 in today's times is simply not good enough.
But I think, Nishad, sorry to interrupt, I think, a 70 or a 50 strike rate for West Indies, I guess, is good enough. Maybe forget the market conditions. But, even if he plays with 50, 60 strike rate and plays the whole, at least it will help, stabilize the West Indies innings, maybe.
But they had someone who played a 50 strike rate, and that was Craig Brathwaite. He was brought in for a few ODIs, and it just didn't work because it just puts in a lot of pressure onto the others. So Shai Hope has got the game. My only thing is, if he gets from 74 to say 80, it may just help the others a lot more. The pressure will reduce a lot more. He can play at that pace. He doesn't have to go hammer on tongs like the others, but a little bit quicker rather than just being a little too defensive.
Yeah, Pankaj, just on that point, you spoke about the talent that West Indies has. I feel for the coach, Phil Simmons, at times, because he has to deal with 3 different sets of teams, really. The test team is completely different to the ODI team. The ODI team is completely different to the T20 team. The only common link between the 3 teams is only one man, and he's the man who performed in the first match, and that is Jason Holder. How does someone like him then manage it? Because it's very difficult if you're like handling. It's not like they have abundance of talent like India has, but it's Again, the market forces have dictated that they have three different sets of players because their test team, which is going to play against England, is completely different. It's just Roston Chase to some extent and Jason Holder from here, who will be part of that test team which will play against England. None of the others are going to even come close to playing that test series against England. It shows in a way that they've got lots of players, but it also, like for a coach like Phil Simmons to handle so many players, it's a problem. And when results are not going your way, it's even more difficult.
I think Phil Simmons should immediately ask for a pay hike because he's probably handling 48 players in the three formats. But I think Phil Simmons must have had a culture shock when he came into the coaching of this particular team. Probably because what they did in those days and what these kids are doing, type of a generation gap. But I think he's got used to because he was also the coach of Bangladesh, if I'm not mistaken. So
no, Zimbabwe and Afghanistan.
Yeah, Zimbabwe
and Ireland.
Yeah. So if I think if he's got used to now the whole thing that he must be considering these as
and the base in those countries are not that big. So in a way, it is like a matter of pride.
Exactly.
They have so many players to pick from.
So probably he's just trying to say, okay, now let me look at these as kids from the kindergarten, associate nations, and then maybe groom them up. Probably what a player Phil Simmons was, absolutely entertaining.
Absolutely, Nishad. Just a final thought from you. Do you see this West Indies team making a return in this series and leveling this series today, or is it a bridge too far for them?
No, that's interesting because my mind goes back to the 2018 series and 2019 series. The games that West Indies won or tied in that particular series, it was one of the games that West Indies tied was at Vizag, where they nearly chased down a 300 plus total, a 280 odd total, I think. And then they won the following year in Chennai, where they restricted the Indian batting to 260. So if they get India under 300, I think it's particularly game on. But then for that, they have to put the Indian batting under pressure, get 2-3 wickets quickly, so that India do not go past 300. See, if one of the openers gets going, particularly Rohit, and they get past 300, I think it's game over and it's India's game. But if it's under 300, West Indies are very much in it. And I'm strictly going by the patterns that we've seen.
Pollard's not playing this match. Pankaj, that's a big hole in their lineup because he's like, as in speaking metaphorically and also really speaking, is the backbone of this particular lineup in the one-day format. In the light of that and what Nishad just mentioned, see this West Indies lineup making a comeback in the series?
I don't see, but I would definitely expect someone to do a Shaheen Shah Afridisk or a Mohammad Amir's type thing. Only then, because however big score they may make, the Indian batting is so strong, it's capable of anything. So the only way to restrict India is to maybe put up a bit of runs here and there. That's okay, but pick up 3 early wickets. That's the only way they can come back in the series.
So we've got one clear position from Nishad, and we've got one sitting on the fence position from Pankaj. I am going clearly with India because I don't see this West Indies team troubling India in the one-day format. Maybe next week in the T20 series, we might see a bit of a, as they say in Hindi, colloquial Hindi, halchal. Otherwise, I don't see this West Indies team beating India in this one-day series. Right now, guys, it's time to wrap up this pre-match show. We'll be back with the mid-inning show. We'll be joining with the rest of the world on the live broadcast, which starts in about 5 minutes. India time at about 1:30 p.m. We'll join the rest of the world on the live broadcast right here on Digital 2 Sports, a joint venture of Channel 2 Group or One Digital Entertainment. Please keep liking, sharing, and subscribing this channel. And don't forget to press the notification bell, or else you will never know when Pankaj is in his favorite shirt or Nishad is in his favorite corner. Till then, goodbye and see you at the mid-inning show.